Okay, we're going to show you how to make your leaven or feed your leaven. I store my leaven in a plastic container like this because it'll need to have air venting while you store it. It stores in the fridge. This is a brilliant little bit of kit because you can just seal it off. When you mix it, it will expand probably roughly the top of this size container. So make sure. I always mix enough to do 2 loaves of bread, and it'll store to feed this and to store ready for the next lot of bread I want to make. So if you look at the leaven, this is all prepped. You probably sometimes if it's been stored for a few days or a week, you need to just give it a stir because it will slightly separate, but it's not a problem. It still works okay. So I'll just show you how to mix the leaven. So again, I use one of these containers. Digital scales are ideal if you want to use. So if I want to do this in grams, then basically I want to mix 4 ounces, which is really roughly equates to about 114 grams. And basically, you remember that it's the same. You want this, if you're feeding the leaven, it'll be the same leaven. So you'll have 114 of leaven, 114 of flour, and 114 of water. So it's always the same, and that will do you for 2 loaves and for your next mixture of leaven. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to put in 114 ounces. Sorry, 114 grams of leaven. And if you're not going to use this leaven, you can just dispose of what's remaining. But you do need to feed this. You do need to feed this every week. Okay. And then you take your white, and you want strong white bread flour, okay? So make sure you get your bread. You can buy that from numerous locations. And again, I want to put in about 114 of flour. You can put it in any order you wish. What you do is give this a good stir. Once you've stirred this all up, there's no need to put the lid on just yet. What you need to do is let it stand for at least 8 hours in a warm room, and then refrigerate, or even overnight if you need to. But just needs to, in a warm room, just needs to be able to ferment if you like, but you'll see it bubbling after a few hours. To start bubbling, then you know that the leaven is working. But just remember, you do need to feed your leaven if you don't make bread once a week. It's quite simple by just using the same amount of measures. The reason I use this quantity is because this works out very good. It makes 2 loaves of bread, and it also provides me, when I mix up the leaven like this, with some more for the next time. And as you see, it's a nice mix. And basically I'll just leave that now in a warm room. You'll see it bubbling after a few hours, and let that go for, as I said, 8 hours, or overnight if necessary. You put the lid on after your 8 hours or overnight. Put the lid on, let some air in, and refrigerate. You can use a kiln jar or anything else, but you will need to let the air in during the week. Don't seal it. Okay, now we're going to start the how to make sourdough. I prefer granary, but you can make wholemeal or you can just plain white. It's entirely your choice. In this demo, I'm just going to make granary. Okay, so I get my bowl. I'm going to make up my leaven first in a container. So I want 100 grams of this first. So there's 100 grams of your leaven, and then you'll want 300 grams of water. Give this a good mix. Just to repeat that, that's 100 grams of your leaven and 300 grams of water. Just give it a good mix. It's all stirred up. Okay, now for the flour mix. So now I'm going to add my malt flour for my to make it into my granary. I want 100 grams of this. And then I want 400 grams of the strong white bread making flour. Using a spatula, just give it a good stir. I use a spatula because using your hands at this point is very sticky. Easier to use a spatula and it takes everything off the sides. You need to stir this now and make it in so it all starts to bind together. Once this is mixed into a tight ball, it needs to be covered, and you can cover this with a tea towel for 30 minutes or up to 4 hours. Okay, once that's done, just get a tea towel and cover it, and they say put the timer on, and you want to leave that 30 minutes minimum, up to 4 hours. Okay, this is just to make sure and clarify, this is one loaf that I've got here. Okay, I'm going to add salted water now, and this is 10 grams of salt and 15 grams of water. Dissolve the salt as best as you can because it's done in cold water. What I usually do then is I just prick the top of the dough. I want the salt to go into this and to be absorbed. Another thing I'd like to clarify, this is a malted flour, not a granary flour, okay? Now I just pinch the salt and mix the salt into the dough. Just work the dough so the salt can be salty water can be absorbed then by the dough. Okay, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to leave that for 10 minutes. Cover it again, and I'll leave that for 10 minutes. Then I'll do my first fold. Okay, now we've let this absorb the salt water now for 10 minutes, as you can see. Now I'm going to start doing the folds now, and this can be done between 4 and 6 folds every half an hour. So I'm going to do the first fold now. I set the timer for half an hour, and I can do up to 6 folds. Okay, I'll show you to do the fold. So make sure it's not sticking at the bottom of the bowl. Okay. And the folds are quite simple. So basically, use your bowl, 360 degrees, directly in front of you. Just get the dough and fold it over. Turn the bowl. Same again. Over. Turn the bowl. Over. Turn the bowl. And over. And you just do it. You cut your bowl into quarters and you do it per quarter. So there you go. That's your first fold. Okay. Another half an hour. The next 4 to 6 folds, and you can just keep folding. 4 is minimum, 6 maximum, and then cover it between each fold. Okay, we're now just covering the fifth fold. I don't usually do 6, but that's entirely up to you. I'm going to do 5 folds tonight. This is what it's looking like now after 5 folds. Or 4 folds. This is going to be the 5th fold, sorry. I'm just going to do this last fold. And just stretch it a bit, so it's a bit stretchy. Should be nice and stretchy. Turn it, as I said before. Stretch, fold it over. That's my 5th fold, and now after 5th fold you can leave it between 30 minutes to an hour just to settle now, but I usually leave it for an hour. Cover it again. I should put the cover over in a moment. Leave it for an hour. Okay, this is what it should be looking like now. So now you want to make it into a bit of a bread loaf. So some flour. Scoop the dough out onto the flour. It'll be a bit sticky, so it won't hurt to put a little bit of flour over the top to it'll just stick to your hands. You can brush off any excess, just stops it being sticky. Okay, now you want to shape it, and by shaping it you want to cup your hands underneath, and turn it at the same time. And just put your hands underneath at 45 degrees, like so, and just cup that around, creating a shape. It starts to look a bit like a loaf. Don't forget these are a round loaf. Okay, once you've shaped it, you leave that for 30 minutes. Okay, we use a Banneton here. It's like a wicker style basket, and it's a 10-inch in diameter Banneton. What you need to do is, you don't wash these, never wash them because of the wicker that it's made with. Just scrape them clean. What you need to do is you put some flour in, be generous, and you need to work it into the grooves. And you just work it in so all the grooves that you see are filled with flour, and this will give it the bread a lovely finish. And the flour bakes onto the surface of the bread, and you'll see rings around the edges of the bread as well. So it just adds to the flavour. You just fill all the grooves. If you don't fill the grooves, the wet or the moist dough will stick to the wicker. So don't be afraid of flour. So plenty of flour. You can see it pulls out of some of the gaps, just top it up. Okay, cover the bread slightly with a bit of flour just to stop it from sticking. Don't break the surface, because you'll find a bit of a film now that is set on the top, and you want to just loosen it up from the bottom. Wipe off any excess flour. Okay, turn it over, and now you want to just give it a fold. So stretch it and fold it. Turn, stretch it and fold it. Stretch it and fold it, and stretch it and fold it. Turn it back over, and now shape it again. And just to remind you, this has been resting for 30 minutes. And when it's in the Banneton, you'll see little air pockets bubbling. That'll be giving it the finish when it's cooked. And you want to shape it now. And in these Bannetons, I prefer personally to seal them in a bag, which I'll show you, and refrigerate between 12 and 15 hours. It gives it a better finish, and I think it's a better taste. If you don't want to do that and you want to carry on and cook, leave them in the Banneton, in the bag, or covered in cling film, but leave them for about, you want to leave them for about 4 to 5 hours before baking. Okay, so that's shaped. I'm quite happy with that shape. Turn it over and just put it in the Banneton, and that will prove like that, no problem at all. Don't worry about the centre finish, that will all fill up as it starts to prove. I use a big freezer bag. In the freezer bag. Give it a little bit of air, bit of room. Seal it off. And this will go in the fridge to say between 12 and 15 hours. And then I'll bake it then. Okay. Okay, this is what the leaven should be looking out like. This is 5 hours, when I fed it, this is 5 hours in now. And basically you leave it in room temperature for 8 hours or overnight. Once you've done that, you can seal it, put a seal on it, as long as it's got an air vent, or if it's a jar with the lid, just a jar, and then put it in the refrigerator, and you can keep that like that for a week before you need to feed it again, or you can use it during the week if you need to. But after 5 hours, that's what it should start to look like, all bubbling away. Okay, this is the bread now after being refrigerated overnight. So I'll take it out of the bag. It's been sealed in the bag in the fridge. And you can see there that it has risen overnight. Okay. So we've got a preheated oven, which is set at 240. In that oven, I've put a bowl of water to help with dehydration, and I've also put in a baking stone. Now you need a baking stone. I'll find you can use that or a Dutch oven. I've always used a baking stone. It seems to be the better for me. I like the results of the baking stone, and you'll see that yourself in a moment. So when I put the oven on, I'll put the baking stone in so that I can get to the same temperature, and I also put in the water. Okay, so now you've got the baking stone, which is nice and hot. With this, I just push away the sides, just to help it ease to get it out of the Banneton. Just do it gently. You don't want to pierce the sides. Okay, then tip it on. Onto the baking stone. Let's give it a nice slice with a sharp knife over the top, and you can do it two ways or cross. I like a cross, and this goes back in. And it goes back into the oven. Now turn it down to 230. For 40 minutes. So set your timer for 40 minutes at 230. Okay, I'm going to take the bread out. That's 40 minutes at 230 degrees. But remember, every oven can vary. This is a fan oven, so you need to vary it. When it's done, you can look. It looks just off burnt. It should look, and that's how it should look. And you should then you tap it, sound hollow, which it does. So now I'm going to remove it from the heat. I'll put it onto a cooling tray and leave that there to cool. Okay, well here we are. This is the malt loaf that we cooked earlier on, and I can't wait any longer. I'm going to have to slice this and to try it. So I'll take the end because it's still nice and warm. As you can see, nice air pockets, which is what you want as well. There you go.